Hey guys, it is Rick, and you know what time it is. Finally, God, I love my new shirt. Check that out. CM Punk looking like Thor. The microphone is the hammer. Love this shirt. Anyway, you guys know what time it is. I promised it. I teased it last week. It's time for the Hot Trash of 2020 video. One of my more popular videos of the year is when I do my year end, as well as my Hot Trash of the Year, Best of the Year. So this week I will be dropping those videos, and we're starting it out with Hot Trash of the Year. So unlike years past where I've done like a top 15, a bottom 15, it's going to be a top and bottom 10 of the year with a few honorable mentions or dishonorable mentions. We're going to start with Hot Trash of the Year in this video. This will be dropping on Tuesday, the 16th. I'm recording this February 13th. I actually just watched a movie last night that made this list here of the worst of the year. So, like I said, this will be recorded on the 13th, dropping Tuesday, and then Friday will be my best of 2020 list. And then next week, back to your regularly scheduled program. Reviews on Tuesday, pickups on Friday. In the next day, today and tomorrow, I plan on recording at least 5 weeks worth of content. So I took all my screenshots today, but I might be obviously wearing a different shirt in some of the videos that you guys see weeks from now. But also really fast before we dive in, I want to mention, I mentioned it in my Freaky review video, but I have a new P.O. box. I had mentioned that in videos leading up to the Freaky video. I have a new P.O. box. It is in all my descriptions. I also changed my letterbox name. It's officially Down the Movie. So if you guys want to follow me on Letterboxd, all the new links are down below. My Amazon wishlist, email address, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my new Letterboxd, Blu-ray.com profile, new P.O. box address, all can be found down below. Let's dive into it, guys. I do not physically own anything that is on this list, thankfully. So we're going to dive in. A few honorable or dishonorable mentions that I want to mention. The first being Guest House, which starred Pauly Shore and Steve-O. It was put out, I believe, by Lionsgate. Just not a funny movie, in my opinion. I think I either gave it a 1 or a 1.5. It just fell flat for me. It was kind of a letdown. I was hoping it would kind of be the rebirth of Pauly Shore. That did not happen for me. Then Friendsgiving, which was also released by Lionsgate Home Entertainment, with an all-star cast: Malin Ackerman, Kat Dennings, Chelsea Peretti. Just, there's a lot of familiar faces. Wanda Sykes, Fortune Feimster. And that movie just, once again, had this outstanding cast, but it just felt like actors hanging out and then corny jokes sprinkled in. So that was a bit of a disappointment. And then last but not least would be The Grudge. I believe it's called The Untold Chapter, which came out from Sony. That movie just, it was pretty bad. Felt unnecessary. Felt like they were trying to reboot the franchise, and they did a pretty poor job of doing so. So those are my dishonorable mentions. Time to get into the real creme de la creme of Hot Trash. I will say everything on this list is either rated 1 star, half star, or for the first time in my rating history in the last 5 years on Letterboxd, a 0-star film, which will be my number 1 Hot Trash of the year. So number 10 is Dolittle, which stars Robert Downey Jr. and a bunch of celebrities in need of a paycheck who wanted to voice talking animals. Remember seeing this in theaters early in the year, falling asleep numerous times throughout the film. I believe we saw it with RJ. RJ wasn't really a fan either. There was lots of just kids humor, but Robert Downey Jr. had an accent that wasn't very good. He did a thing where he was whispering when he talked, and it was just really it was geared towards young kids, I would say 5 and 6 year olds, honestly. And a movie like Dolittle, I think, should have been made attempted to be made as fun for the whole family, and it failed for me. So Dolittle is number 10. Number 9 was on Disney Plus. It looked like it would be an interesting and fun watch, and that was Artemis Fowl. Like I said, when I saw the trailers initially, it looked like it would be a fun time. It turned into a Disney Plus release during quarantine lockdown in 2020. So we checked it out. Josh Gad starts out the movie by doing a poor man's Hagrid impression, in my opinion. Very similar to the Hagrid character, appearance, the way he acted. That just started the movie sour for me. And apparently it's like a series of 8 books that the movies were planning on being based on. So they were going to make a series of movies. This movie is like 85 or 90 minutes. And they ended up trying to shove 2 books worth of material into one movie. And it just felt rushed, but it also felt slow in parts. It was very weird. Ferdy Shaw, who's the young kid who plays Artemis Fowl, wasn't very good. I think this was his first role, and he came off very like mechanical and unlikable in the film. It was a really boring movie. It didn't look very good, and like I said, from a book series that people were really excited about seeing movies from, it just kind of failed. So Artemis Fowl is number 9. Number 8, I used to own physically. I watched it and got rid of it, and that is Capone, which is the film that Tom Hardy did, starring as Al Capone. The movie was written by Josh Trank and directed. He did the movie Chronicle, but he also did 2015's Fantastic Four. So, as we know, that's kind of like one of the most hated films broadly, and I wasn't a big fan of Fantastic Four. It was definitely on my worst of 2015 list. But I was curious about this one. The trailer made it look interesting. Tom Hardy's usually really good. I'm a fan of gangster films. But it basically tells the story of Al Capone after being in prison for a decade, coming home for the last year of his life. And he starts suffering from neurosyphilis, which I forget exactly what that means. I just remember that was the disease he suffered from. And it was basically like, it was almost funny, but wasn't made to be funny. There was some really awful things that happened, but it came off very humorous for the character, and just not a good experience with the movie. It's definitely been on a lot of the worst of the year lists that I've seen, and I agree. Capone, number 8, pretty brutal. Number 7. Also used to own this on Blu-ray, checked it out and got rid of it, and that is Force of Nature, which stars Mel Gibson in a heist movie that takes place during a hurricane, not to be confused with Hurricane Heist. It also starred Emile Hirsch and Kate Bosworth, and this was a movie I remember watching and thinking, do these people all just need money? They all seemed miserable, like they didn't want to be there throughout the movie. It was very sloppily written, in my opinion. The acting wasn't very good. And the story was just like very thrown together. None of the characters are really likable in the movie. There was a weird thing where there was an animal caged up in the film and they kept teasing it. And the payoff really didn't do anything for me. So yeah, Force of Nature, number 7. Still a 1-star movie. We're not into the half star yet, but number 6 would be The Turning, which was a horror movie promoted earlier in the year that was basically another retelling of The Turning of the Screw, which they ended up doing again later in the year. The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is a Netflix series. I was like, this story is very familiar. It's because I saw it in The Turning. Probably one of my shortest reviews I've ever written on Letterboxd, where the movie proposes a bunch of questions and never answers 95% of them. The ending gives you no answers and kind of just ends abruptly. It was just typical January horror garbage. And yeah, it was a 1-star movie. That is why it's number 6 on the worst of the year. Number 5, we have The Rhythm Section, which starred Blake Lively. The movie was incredibly boring. I don't know how else to really put it. It kind of made it look like it would be this like action thriller, spy film, revenge movie. And the editing is very like headache inducing and jolty. The action is shot really sloppily. I struggled staying awake in theaters watching this film, and but there's just not a lot going on in the movie, and it really showed that it was just brutal. So Rhythm Section gets a 1, and now it's time to get into the half-star goodies. My number 4 hot trash of the year film is Like a Boss, another movie I got to see in theaters. So The Turning, The Rhythm Section, Like a Boss, lucky me, in the year where I only got to go to the movies for 2.5 months were all things I got to see in theaters. The movie was 80 minutes long, maybe 85 minutes long, and it just like was a mess. I think I've lost hope on Tiffany Haddish being as funny in a film as she was in Girls Trip, which was a movie I didn't really like, but I at least appreciated Tiffany Haddish in the film. But everything she has done since, stuff like Night School, and she was in Uncle Drew, Like a Boss, have just fallen flat. I'm disappointed in Rose Byrne that she signed on to do this movie. And the movie tries to offer like a really positive role in the end and just didn't really work out for me. Like a Boss, half a star out of 5. Number 4 on the hot trash. Number 3 is a movie I just watched last night. Coming in with a bullet. Didn't have any expectations for this. Glad I did not buy it. I was actually going to buy it. It was only released on DVD because I liked the other films in the series. Even the straight to Blu-ray and straight to DVD movies in this series, I didn't mind. But I was also like probably 20-some when I was watching them, and I don't know if they would hold up quite as well now, especially the straight to DVDs. But it is American Pie, Girls Rules. I knew 5 minutes into this movie, based on what goes on in the film, that this was going to be a tough watch. It was not going to be a good thing. I didn't expect it to be a good thing, but I didn't realize how bad it would be. They try to tie the movie into the American Pie universe because there's a female character in the movie with the last name of Stifler. It also takes place at East Falls or East Great Falls, the high school they go to in the American Pie films. They mention band camp a few times. They keep showing people eating pie or baking pies, which is weird to begin with. Like, there's probably 4 or 5 scenes where there's pie in it. Like, if you're really grasping that hard to show you're an American Pie movie. It is a first female-led American Pie film, so the 4 main characters are all females. So that's interesting, and there is like a female empowerment angle that they're going for. However, there's so much cringiness, and it's not even that crude of a movie. I think I was reading online last night after I watched it on IMDb. It's the first American Pie movie that didn't have like nudity. Apparently they wanted it to be an unrated movie, and because it was coming straight to Netflix as well as DVD, Netflix wanted to cut a lot of the cringy, like over-the-top stuff out. So it was bad. I give it a half a star. Would not recommend it. I would try to avoid it as best you can. If you want to torture yourself, it is on Netflix right now and on DVD, I believe. And yeah, so number 2 on Hot Trash of the Year is another Netflix film called Desperados. the movie is an absolute mess. I started out my review on Letterboxd by saying there's no nice way to say this. This movie is absolutely a mess. It tries to do way too many things. It tries to give vibes of a drama, a love story, an over-the-top slapstick comedy. It has a nice cast in it. I believe the lead is Nasim Pareed. She was on SNL. I forget her exact name. But she's the lead. There's other familiar faces. The guy who played Winston on New Girl's in it. But, you know, the characters in the movie are not very likable in my opinion. The story is very lazy. Definitely one of the worst things I had seen in the year, as it's my number 2 movie. It got a half a star. It was pretty bad. Desperados, I would avoid it with the plague. I remember, silly me, falling asleep during the last half an hour the first time I watched it, and the way my brain operates is I've only ever stopped watching one movie. So as bad as something might be, and we'll get to that in a second, I feel the sense of needing to finish a movie to fully, like, maybe something happens where there's some saving grace in it. I won't stop watching a movie 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in. It just doesn't happen. And this is when I wish I could have stopped and just not gone back to watch the last half an hour, because I subjected myself to watching this over 2 days, and it was bad. But not as bad as number 1 hot trash of the year, the first movie I've given a 0 to, guys, a big old zilch, and that is The Swing of Things. You guys will remember, if you watch my reviews, it was titled, "Perhaps I Watched One of the Worst Movies of My Life." Something along those lines. In the review, after talking about the movie, I threw it in the hallway. I also put it up on eBay that night. Some poor person paid money for it. Every time I see it in the store, I try to hide copies. This way nobody buys the movie. It is that horrific. I couldn't even justify giving this movie a half-star rating. I'm sorry I keep adjusting my glasses, but they keep sliding down my face. It felt to me like a group of 14-year-old boys got together and were like, we're going to write a comedy movie. It is going to be hilarious. The movie adds just weird aspects. There's talking animals. There's animal genitalia, but it's done for a cartoonish effect. It's not even like realistic. There's just so much. Oh my God, it was so awful. The movie starts out with this bizarre scene. They're at a house having a party, and there's like a priest and a homeless guy. It was awful. I really tried to erase it from my memory. The story makes zero sense. It's about a couple that's going to get married. They end up going to an island with their families, and they end up staying at a swingers resort. And I guess that the writers thought that a swingers resort means that everybody is just walking around naked the whole time, and they just do overtly sexual things the entire time, which I guess to an extent, if you're at a swingers resort, that's the case. But is there such thing as a swingers resort? Isn't it just like a nudist colony? It just felt very weird. It felt like an excuse. How much naked people can we... How much nakedness can we have in a film without it being funny? How can we get John Lovitz involved as our big star? Chase Overstreet? Cord Overstreet? The kid from Glee who plays Trouty Lips, Troutmouth, is the lead actor. The first 20 minutes of the movie sets up with like how they get their jobs. And then that leads back to nothing. Like, the first 20 minutes just felt like it needed to get tacked on to make the movie 85 minutes long instead of an hour long. It was just horrific. Like, it made me legit angry when it ended. Like, Bridget and I just looked at each other like, do we really just watch this? Is it really that bad? Are we imagining this? So, yeah, The Swing of Things is the hot trash of 2020, guys. It is garbage. It is a dumpster fire. Do not buy it. Do not rent it. Do not watch it. Trust me. It's bad. So that is it, guys. That has been the hot trash of 2020 video. Like I said, stay tuned on Friday for the best of the year, my top 10 list with a few honorable mentions. And thank you guys for watching. As always, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Hit the subscribe button if you guys don't do so already. Hit the notification bell so you guys know when new videos drop to the channel. Like I said, the schedule is basically Tuesday and Friday for the immediate future. Tuesday review video, Friday pickup video. This week will be Tuesday, worst of the year, Friday, best of the year. And then next week we'll get right back into the normal schedule. So thank you guys for watching. I mentioned all my plugs in the beginning, so I'm not going to do it again, except new P.O. Box in the description box down below, along with links to all my other goodies. And thank you guys for watching. So as always, until next time, who's down to movie?